Well, hello there, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to another video, and this is going to be a short one again, I promise you. So I've been flipping through the short boxes of the comic books. I've got the individual single issues, and I found this, X-Men Adventures issue 4 from 1992. And this is, I think, a series that was based on the X-Men animated TV show from the 1990s. These were, I think, reimaginings of the individual episodes from Fox TV that was aired at the time. And so some people would say that it's more for the children, but I wouldn't say so. I think that these comic books could be enjoyed by both adults and kids. But what is important is that this particular issue 4, you can just jump straight into it because really it starts with Magneto fighting the X-Men, obviously. I think that these comic books were really designed to be read by, I don't want to say by kids exclusively, but for people who don't want to be overburdened with the continuity, the main X-Men continuity, which at the time was very complicated. It was the time when Chris Claremont was writing the X-Men and Jim Lee then came to do the artwork, and the adjectiveless X-Men started to be published, and it was just after the Inferno and the Fall of the Mutants and the Mutant Massacre and huge events like that. So you really did need to know a lot about the continuity, what had happened before. But these seem to me as comic books that you really can read on their own, each and every single issue. This is issue 4, and it's the only issue I read from this particular series, the X-Men Adventures, based on the TV show, and it's basically about Magneto fighting the X-Men. It starts with Magneto fighting the X-Men. So they seem to be defeated. But who knows what happens? They are not defeated, of course. They wake up. Rogue gives Cyclops the mouth-to-mouth breathing because he seems to, have stopped breathing. But what happens, right? She absorbs his powers for a little bit, so she's got the laser beam eyes, and it's quite fun. But then it passes, and they continue fighting. The story is very simple, right? I won't lie to you. It really isn't the Watchmen. It really isn't the Dark Knight Returns. It really isn't. What could I mention? There would be any comic book high literature. It's not All-Star Superman or things like that. It's really fun comics, and that's the sole purpose of any comic book. The story could be complicated and metaphysical and being written for the more adult audience, or it could be just comic books for fun for both children and adults. But it should be entertaining. That, I think, is the main purpose of comic books, to be well written and well drawn. And this comic book certainly is so. So, of course, the X-Men defeat, they don't defeat Magneto, but they fight, and then he escapes because Charles Xavier arrives and he saves all the X-Men. And then they come back to the X-Mansion, where Jubilee is guarding Sabretooth because he had been apprehended by the X-Men. But he sets himself free. He attacks Jubilee, but she's saved by Wolverine, right? Look at him. He goes into his berserker rage, and he fights Sabretooth. And this is where I realized once again that you really did not need any bloody sociopolitics, any inclusion, representation, or diversity in a comic book back then in 1992 to write a good story. Now, X-Men, they have always been kind of lefty. It's always been about, the X-Men being kind of excluded from society, kind of, separated from the rest of humanity. They are the Homo superior. It's always been about segregation a little bit, right? But they never, in the past, Chris Claremont and the other people that were writing the X-Men in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, they never really shoved it up your throats. You could really believe it, and you could really sympathize with the characters, because they were the mutants. But they were mutants of all freaking sexes and genders, because there are only two genders, right? And colors of skin, and they just fought the bad guys. And yes, they were dealing with the Mutant Registration Act time after time, sometimes more often than not. But you really never felt like the writers and the artists were shoving these socio-political things up your throat. It all seemed very natural, because it was just fictional comic books written for fun, entertainment, and there was a lot of action on each and every page. The art was good in most cases, in the 90s especially, and the end of the 80s, when artists like Jim Lee and Kubert were drawing the comics, and then Liefeld came, and artists like that. So it was about fun, it was about action, it was about good storytelling, especially when it was written by Claremont. This wasn't. This was written by Ralph Macchio, but still, it's fun. It was fun, and at the beginning, so you've got Rogue saving Cyclops, and then in turn Cyclops saved Rogue, and then Professor Xavier saved all the X-Men. And in the second part of the story, Wolverine saved Jubilee, and nobody was like, oh no, she isn't, to be saved. She is a strong, independent woman. You go, girl. You don't need no man. You don't need no Wolverine. No, nobody fucking give a shit about this kind of stuff. About the bloody socio-political bullcrap that everybody's shoving in the comic books and all the entertainment these days. Because it is true, and it is a fact, that people don't really care about this anymore. People don't care about the comics. Comic books. The actual storytelling inside the comics. Actual drawings inside the comics. And this is just a freaking adaptation of the TV show. Now, I might sound a bit blasphemous now, but it's not like a proper X-Men comic book, if you know what I mean. It's just an adaptation of the animated show for children. And it's better, much better than any comic book published these days. Because the writing is good, the art is good, it's all drawn by hand. It's quality comics, it's quality storytelling, and it isn't shoving up any socio-political agendas down our throats. No inclusion, representation, diversity, no feminism, no go girl. No, none of this bullshit. It's just good storytelling. That's what I'm telling you. So that's why I don't read modern comic books, because it's shit. That's why I only read old comic books, because they're good. They're good because you find a comic book from 1992. It's issue 4. It's not even issue 1, 2, or 3. I have never read issues 1, 2, or 3 of this. I didn't feel lost by reading this comic book. I only felt entertained, and I felt like I wanted to hum the main theme of the X-Men. Right? So it made me feel good on the inside, and I'm a man riddled with depression and anxiety and hate for people in general. All people. I don't care about, your freaking sexuality or gender or color of your skin. I just hate all people. So, but this made me feel actually good. So that's what I'm saying, and I am being proved right each and every day by looking at on the social media and people just whining about scandals and about these cultural wars on social media between people on the right and people on the left, and people who want to cancel Gina Carano and people who don't want to cancel Gina Carano, and people who want to cancel this, people who want to cancel that, people who don't care about comics and they just care about inclusion and representation, and don't fucking just stop for a bit. Could you just stop for a little bit and focus on art for a bit? Yeah, well, I said so, but I don't really care about you. I really don't. I care about this. And that's why I made this video, because this comic books really made me feel very good. And you might consider it a review video / rant about today's situation in the world, not only in pop culture and entertainment and social media and stuff. So yeah, if you happen to find this issue, X-Men Adventures issue 4, do get it, do read it. You will feel entertained, you will feel good, it'll feel you warm on the inside. Unless you are an SJW leftist twat. In that case, you will miss a black person. Oh, you will not miss a black person, motherfucker. Look, there's Ororo, so fuck you. There's everything in it. So don't you dare bitching about this comic book. This is awesome. This is treasure. So yeah, that'll be all from me. This is my strange review / rant that I shouldn't probably even publish on YouTube, but I will. Thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to leave a comment down below what you think about this crappy video, and that will be all from me. Thank you very much, and bye.